I love talking basketball, and I love welcoming first-time visitors to our show. And, well, we have the best of both worlds right here. We say hello to the television play-by-play voice of the Philadelphia 76ers, Kate Scott. Hello, Kate.
Hi there, Chet. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I want to talk to you about your background and how you ended up in Philly. But, hey, this is an exciting time for the Sixers, as you well know. They made a huge trade a couple of weeks back, and it looks like this Friday night, James Harden will make his 76ers debut.
hmm
What is the excitement level around the team and for you personally, as you're going to have a front row seat to it all?
Yeah, pretty wild, right? Because we were all for so long hearing about it and then wondering if it was actually going to happen. Was it going to
Mhm.
happen now? Was it going to happen in the off season? So the fact that it's really real, I think I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But the excitement is palpable because of this guy, because we got a 10-time All-Star, a 3-time scoring champ, a guy who's averaging over 10 assists a game this season, and who, by all accounts, wants to win a championship, is done with all the individual accolades, and is coming here to Philly because he wants to win that Larry O'Brien trophy. So I'm pretty darn excited. I like to say I'm cautiously optimistic because I think we all have seen, right, that he skipped town on the Houston Rockets last year
Mhm.
and now has done the same with the Nets. So I think we're all a little bit concerned because of that. But he's never paired up with a Joel Embiid before. So
Oh,
I'm
man.
very, very intrigued to see how that pick and roll may start to work over the next couple of weeks, Chet.
We can't wait. More about the Sixers in just a bit, but let's go back to last summer and last fall. The Sixers fans got the surprising news that play-by-play voice Marc Zumoff, he was there the last 27 years calling the games, was calling it a career. Mark's even got, by the way, a new beer out right now.
I know. I can't wait to try it. Have you
It's
have you
not bad.
have you
I
popped
have.
it yet? Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice IPA, not bitter though, so that's good. I like the
Yeah,
non-bitter
that sounds good.
IPAs. Now, you are from Fresno, California. You spent most of your time out west. So why the heck did you want to audition for the Philly job and come east?
Because I'm an idiot, Chet. That's really what it comes down to. Who in their right mind would try to replace a guy who has his own beer, has been someplace for 27 years? No, but I mean, you said fans and Philly natives were surprised that Zoo was retiring. You weren't alone. I was surprised as well. I still remember popping open my computer one day over on the West Coast and seeing that this guy, the legend, was hanging it up. I read the column, like I'm sure so many of you did, on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, and I thought, oh my goodness, wow, I didn't expect this at all. And then I said aloud, whoever tries to take over for him is a freaking idiot. And that's why I said, here I am. A couple of days later, after he announced his retirement, I got a call from my agents, and they said, hey, we think you should apply for this position. And I told them, you're freaking crazy, just because, even when I graduated from college 20 years ago, Chet, I didn't think that this was something that I could do because there were so few women doing it. So I am still wrapping my head around the fact that the Sixers and NBC Sports Philly were willing to not only give me a chance, but hire me for this position. So it's been a wild ride since last fall, since I had that first Zoom interview with the folks here. But why wouldn't you want to be here? A lot of people have understandably asked me that. What's a California chick wanting to do
Yeah.
out here? I was born and raised a diehard sports fan. Sports are my religion. And so why, if you had a chance to be anywhere in the US, why would you not want to come to one of the hotbeds of all hotbeds when it comes to sports? And I'm just loving every second already that I've been here.
Well, you were already the first woman to call an NFL game on radio, the first female to call a Golden State Warriors game on radio. You were part of that first all-woman crew calling an NHL game. That was, I guess, 2 years ago next month. There
Yep.
you are.
Oh,
Now,
man.
of course, you're the first female play-by-play broadcaster for a pro team in Philadelphia. How do
Mhm.
you like being such a trailblazer? Is there any pressure that goes with that?
Oh, no, not at all, Chet. I mean, everybody's just hoping that I'm successful and that I do great. Yes, there is a ton of pressure. But as Doc Rivers said after a game a couple of weeks ago, no one puts more pressure on me than me because I want to not just do okay at this job or any game that I've called. I want to do the absolute best that I can for me, obviously, first and foremost, but then for the people who gave me this opportunity, ABC Sports Philly and the Sixers, for all the people who came before who made this a possibility, right? The Beth Mowens and the Doris Burks
Mhm.
and all the women who really had to put up with a lot more crap than I have, for them, and then for the next generation as well. So that, as I mentioned, I graduated from college 20 years ago and I didn't think I could do this. So I hope that now young women can go to college and get all the reps that I missed out on because they have an example like me, like Lisa in Milwaukee, like so many other women now calling games. And also hope that, young men growing up can think to themselves, okay, yeah, she looks and sounds a little different than Zoo and the people who I've heard call games forever, but man, she's pretty good at it. So yeah, I guess chicks can do this too.
Well, you do have to put up with some crap, of course. I'm old enough to remember
That's
this.
saying it nicely, right? Putting it mildly.
Yes. Long before social media, way back in 1971, the Phillies fired popular announcer Bill Campbell and replaced him with a guy from Houston named Harry Callis.
Yes.
Now, I think we know how that worked out.
It's worked out okay.
Yeah, fans were not happy at first. He was an outsider. How could he succeed in Philly?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he ended up calling Phillies games the next 39 years. He's an icon. He's a Hall of Famer. I say all that because you are active on social media, and you know that not everybody is a Kate Scott fan. I am, by the way. But how do you deal with that? I know you've even replied back to a couple of people who came at you.
Yeah. Well, I think that we work in a subjective profession, right? I don't love every broadcaster. I can respect plenty of broadcasters, but I don't like everybody's voice or everybody's shtick. So I completely understand that there's going to be people out there who don't like my work, and that is okay. I try to focus on the people who do. Again, the people who gave me this opportunity, the people who I trust in this industry, who really know what it means to be a good play-by-play announcer, and listen to their critique. And then also, I'm the most self-critical person. I love the saying relentlessly self-critical, and that's what I always try to be. So there is that noise. And as you mentioned, social media doesn't make it any easier these days. But that is a great example that so many people have pointed out to me there. Tom McCarthy, Jim Jackson, so many of the great play-by-play voices here now and in the past have reached out in the first couple of weeks after I got here. And they shared that story as well. And they said, kid, keep your head down. You're here for a reason. The city loves their teams, and obviously they love Zoo. So it might take a while, and some people may never come around. But you got this gig for a reason because you deserve it. So now, just one game at a time, go out and prove it to people.
I pity whoever's going to follow Merrill Reese calling Eagles games whenever he decides to retire.
Right.
Well, Kate, you and your TV partner, Ala Abdelnaby, are terrific together. I got to ask you, how did you manage to develop such great chemistry so quickly?
I'm glad it felt like that to you, because that is how it felt to us as well. And the wilder thing of all the wild things is I didn't even audition with Ala, because Ala was under the weather that day.
I heard, yeah.
Jackson was the guy who was sitting beside me. And credit to Mark, if he wouldn't have come ready to work, I don't know if I would have gotten this job either, because as you said, it's a dance. It's a partnership when you're on the air. But yeah, I could not have asked for a better situation, because I wasn't sure what I was coming into. But literally the instant we said hello to each other, he exudes such a warmth and friendliness, obviously knows the sport of basketball like the back of his hand, and is so good at teaching, but in, I think, a fun and educational way, not in a patronizing way, which I think is so important for an analyst. And again, doesn't see me as a female broadcaster, just sees me as a broadcaster who got this gig and is now ready to go out there and have fun. So I'm having a blast. He's having a blast. I'm so glad that that's coming across. I know it's a little bit much for some people, because I know we're having a lot of fun, but don't worry, when things get tight as the season starts to wind down, it will be all hoop from the two of us.
Well, I'm hoping there's going to be a whole lot more fun over the next 24 games. We're going to talk about the new look Sixers right now. You mentioned you're excited about seeing the whole pick and roll thing, Harden and Embiid together. How do you expect that it will work out, and what's it going to mean for the rest of the guys on the court?
Really good question, because as we know, Joel is not that big on rolling in the pick and roll, and it's kind of been good and then not so good. Whether it was with Seth Curry, it seems like there's games where Joel and Tyrese have really gotten it going. So the one thing I do know is this guy, Joel Embiid, has seemed so flexible in being able to provide his team whatever they needed in that moment. And when it comes to getting buckets as easily as Joel does, now we've got a guy in James Harden who can get them just as easily, who gets to the free throw line just as easily. So I'm no longer worried about scoring. I think those two are going to slow the pace down a little bit, which is how the Sixers have been playing this year. So that's going to make the speed, in my opinion, of a Tyrese Maxey that much more difficult to handle, because Tyrese is already the fastest cat on the floor. And now I kind of see James and Joel lulling the other team to sleep. James dishing off to somebody, and poof, there goes Tyrese. We've seen Matisse. His cutting has improved the last couple of weeks. Same thing with Matisse. And now we don't need any offense out of him. If he provides it, great, but he can just completely focus on being that defensive stopper of the good guy on the other team. And Tobias Harris, I know that people here love to hate on him. I get it, but since the start of the new year, he has been so consistent, and he's given it 20 points a game, not to mention the assists and rebounds. He is just steady Eddie, who can be that third guy, which I think is the perfect position for him. Joel and James want to. Tobias dropping between 15 and 20 a night, and then pressures off the young guys in Tyrese and Matisse. So I'm really excited.
As you can see back here, I'm a big Tyrese Maxey fan. Love the
I
guy.
know,
I had to buy his jersey, so I can hear the excitement in your voice when you watch.
How happy were we? I mean, I didn't think they were going to trade him, but you never know, right? I know so many people. Oh, thank goodness that Tyrese is still here.
Well, Kate, Glenn Mack now has been on our show 5 or 6 times, and you visited with Joe Sixpack, Don Russell, last month, and that was a great show. I got to tell you, I love that you're a beer fan. I love that you stayed the whole show to make sure you finished your beer. That was great. And I love
I don't know how that happened, right? Because we were only supposed to do one segment. And
I know. And then we came back and you were still there. I also loved that you said this regarding Troy Aikman's plan for a 90-calorie beer.
We want a real solid beer. And also, screw you, Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith. I grew up hating the Cowboys just as much as you guys. I grew up a Niners fan.
I love that. I love that.
That's a great pull.
Yeah, so you're a big beer fan. And by the way, upon your recommendation, look what I got. Black Butte
look
Porter.
at you.
That's just tried it last night. Porter. Very good. Very good.
It's a nice
another one I can recommend to you, Vanilla Porter, Breckenridge Brewery. If you like a little vanilla mixed in with your porter, go for that one.
Okay.
All right, Kate, this was terrific. I can't wait to see what happens down the road with the Sixers. Great to meet with you and talk with you. I know how busy you are, so thank you for finding time for me. So, again, this was a blast, and it felt like a Sixers victory. So, with thanks to the Cuz and everybody at NBC Sports Philadelphia, should we play the song?
Play the song, baby. Play the song.